Okay, 1 second. And go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you all for being here today. The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus.
Present.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans.
Present.
Alderman Page. Alderwoman Ingracia.
Present.
Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Gunther.
Here.
Alderman Balmer.
Present.
Alderwoman Martin.
Present.
Alderman Stevens.
Present.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oden. Thank you. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Peel. Alderman Todd.
Present.
Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Vaquero.
Present.
Alderman Narayan.
Here.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro.
Present.
President Reed. President Reed.
Here.
Alderman Bosley. Alderman Page. Alderman Coder.
Here.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Peel. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Navarro. 22 present.
Quorum being present, I'm just so honored today to have Dr. Marie T. Brown from Moriah City of Refuge Church, which is in the beautiful Hamilton Heights neighborhood, to come today to open us up in prayer. Dr. Brown.
Yes, God bless you. 1 John 5:14, and this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he heareth us. God, we thank you this morning for being gracious and being so good to let us see another day. We thank you, Lord, for the leaders that you have placed in office by the predestination of God. We pray this day that you look upon every alderman and our government. We pray for the strength and the wisdom and the guidance and the insight that you would give them to run our city and to make provision for our people. Lord, we pray that the wisdom of God and the hand of the Lord be upon each city official. We pray that even the purpose and the will that you've given them and the vision that you have imparted to them, Lord, that they will be able to open the doors of opportunity. We pray for the favor of God upon them as they go through, God, in the government, and give favor in the offices and the things that they have to do in the future. Now, God, we ask you to bless their hands. And you said, wheresoever their hands touch, it shall prosper. Let it prosper. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank God. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. We're probably going to have to reach out to you and have you come lead us off in prayer again.
Yes, Bishop Hankerson is my bishop.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yes,
we all know Bishop Hankerson. Tell him we said hi.
You will.
His best friend is Alderwoman Marlene Davis.
Yes, yes. I work as his supervisor in the jurisdiction.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we will suspend with our regular order of business, take up our courtesy resolutions calendar. Alderwoman from the 19th, you're recognized on the motion for our courtesy resolutions calendar.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move that we adopt our courtesy resolution calendar.
Second.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 19th and seconded by
Alderman from the 22nd.
Alderman from the 22nd. There you go. It's been moved, seconded. Alderwoman Howard, you're recognized on resolution number 6.
Yes, first off, I would like to welcome those people in on the Zoom today. Emmett Coleman, Jennifer Voss, Nolan Sanders, Carrie Flynn, Judy McGrath, Lisa Parker, Ashley Davis, Karen Wagner, and our speakers are Lena Fish and Dr. Juan Cascaro. I'd like to read the resolution at this time. Resolution number 6, honoring National Loyalty Day. Whereas it has come to the attention of this honorable board of aldermen of the city of St. Louis that President Dwight D. Eisenhower proclaimed May 1st, 1959, the first official observance of Loyalty Day. And whereas on July 18th, 1958, U.S. Congress Public Law 85-529 made the day an official holiday and is listed among other patriotic and national observances, including Mother's Day, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, and more. Whereas Loyalty Day is a special day for the reaffirmation of loyalty to the United States for the recognition of the heritage of American freedom. And whereas the president is requested to issue a proclamation calling on the United States government officials to display the flag of the United States on all government buildings on Loyalty Day, and inviting the people of the United States to observe Loyalty Day with appropriate ceremonies. And whereas each year since its inception as a legal holiday in 1958, every president has recognized the day with an official proclamation. And whereas memorable statements written by various American presidents include the following. This Loyalty Day, let us remember what defines us as one American people. It is our dedication to common ideals rather than the similarities of origin or creed. Let us reaffirm that embracing this truth lies at the heart of what it means to be a citizen. Barack Obama's presidential proclamation, Labor Day 2016. For nearly 30 years, Americans have celebrated May 1st as Loyalty Day. This is a day to reaffirm our loyalty to the land of liberty and to recall with pride and gratitude the generations of our countrymen who preserved our freedom by their loyalty to America. Ronald Reagan's presidential proclamation on Loyalty Day, 1987. Dedication, devotion, and loyalty to our country and to the free democratic precepts upon which it is founded has always been a cherished tradition with our people, from our founding fathers to our servicemen now serving in the far-flung corners of the world. President John F. Kennedy's proclamation on Loyalty Day, 1963. Whereas St. Louis groups, including Princeton Heights neighborhood, the Holly Hills neighborhood, and various VFW posts in and around the city, including St. Louis County, have historically celebrated Loyalty Day with events, speakers, and parades. Whereas National Loyalty Day also kicks off National Military Appreciation Month, culminating with Memorial Day. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis that we pause in our deliberations to remember and honor National Loyalty Day and those local organizations sponsoring activities. We further direct the clerk of this board to spread a copy of this resolution across the minutes of these proceedings and to prepare a commemorative copy for presentation at a time and place to those deemed appropriate by the sponsor. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Dr. Juan Cascararo, I'm sorry, of Venezuela. He would like to speak. Dr. Cascararo.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Juan Cascarano. I'm from Venezuela. I've been living in the United States around 4 years. I've been 2 years living in St. Louis. I am a doctor with a specialty in general surgery, and I moved to the United States from Venezuela, although because the political and economical bad situation that we are going through, I also came for one political problem that I had specifically with the government. Uh, I would like to share my experience, of course, in these few minutes that I have with you all. I would like to aware you all about some red flags that I've seen in the United States lately, which concern me a lot in base of the experience that I had before in my country. I never have been a politician or a political person, but in Venezuela, we all ended up being in politics in some way. So my hometown is Valencia in Venezuela, and I had a partner. His name is Kevin Campos, and we moved to Caracas, which is the capital, to do a residency in anesthesiologism, and I did it in general and plastic surgery because that's what I was going to apply for. In the hospital where he was working, he got stabbed on his ribs and he got a wound on his head with a gun. And that happened inside of a public hospital. When there was a media scandal, actually those news got even to Italy. And me being gay, I couldn't even say that I was his partner because although in Venezuela being gay is not illegal, we don't have any legal rights to our partners, and of course we are going to be exposed to a really severe bullying from everyone. So I couldn't get inside the hospital. We didn't have family in Caracas because we were living alone in Caracas, and I have to pretend that I was his brother because we have like similar physical appearance. So of course, I got some interviews from the TV news. Of course, I had to invent that my last name was Campos and not Casparano because that was the only way that I could at least see him and treat him in some way. So the thing is like when he did the claim to the investigation, everything turned against himself. The government of Venezuela, they didn't want to show to the world that the public hospitals were unsafe. So they said, and they turned everything against him, saying that he stabbed himself. And the wound that he has on his head was because he did it to himself, because he was doing like kind of a protest from the opposition against the socialist government of Venezuela. So they threatened us to kill us if he didn't sign a paper assuming that he indeed recognized that he stabbed himself. So we had so many bad situations around it that at the end of the day he has to sign out, and he had a presentation regimen that he has to go every month with criminals to sign that he was in the camp. So when we moved back to Valencia, he started over a new residency. I couldn't finish plastic surgery because of that reason. In Caracas is the only place in Venezuela where the program of plastic surgery is. So we ended up back in Valencia. And 3 years after his residency, when he was about to graduate, they didn't let him to graduate. They told him that he wasn't mental capable of attending anyone because someone that stabbed himself as a protest mechanism against a government is something that is not related to healthy person with a mental capabilities, you know. So me being his partner, of course, I had too many things against myself. I couldn't be allowed to work in certain hospitals, in certain clinics. And I ended up selling auto parts. Me being a doctor with a specialty, I had to sell auto parts to some stores because I wasn't allowed to work in Venezuela. So, and the threats from the government, plus insecurity, plus Kevin, my ex-boyfriend at that moment, the one who was stabbed, his father was killed in a robbery in front of his family. So with all those bad experiences and the specific experience with the government and the fact that we couldn't work as a doctor in Venezuela, we realized that we should move out of the country. And we choose United States because, first of all, this is a country that I love. I know this is a country where the democracy is real, where there's no fake democracy. I know that human rights in this country are respected. People are respectful at all. And I've been in so many countries, and there's no country like United States. Now I'm a resident. I'm a resident in United States. I'm not a citizen yet, but I'm so honored for being with you all, because I know that something that we share in common in this meeting is the love for this country. And I know that if we gather together, we could move forward and take this country ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony and your story. It's really moving and eye-opening. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Also, at this time, I'd like to recognize there are a few more people on the call. Charlie Metzger from St. Louis Firefighters, Phil Menendez, retired police officer, Cedric Redmond, Orlando Luis Pardo Laszlo, and Kim McGrath. And Lena Fish would like to speak at this time. Ms. Fish?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I came to this country from the former Soviet Union 30 years ago, and I will be very brief today. I just want to encourage you to support this resolution to celebrate the Loyalty Day. I'll tell you what the people in the socialist countries like Western Europe, Soviet Union, obviously, Asia, South American socialist country were doing on the May 1st. On the May 1st, we were celebrating the Workers' Solidarity Day. And it was always organized. It was not voluntarily. People would go and have a good time and, just celebrate their freedom. No. It was a very ideologically grounded holiday. It was always organized by the local party and union leaders. And it was based in Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin philosophy and ideology. And the main goal was that the people, the workers, the laborers of the whole world eventually reunite and fire the revolution around the world, the socialist revolution. So what we would be forced pretty much to do, it was pretty much mandatory. It was not voluntary holiday. So we would have to go to the major plaza of each big, large or small town or farm, and the local party leaders would be there presented somewhere on the top, staying on the top ground, and the laborer would bring the portraits of the major Communist Party leader, chant the silly slogans, sing the songs. And again, and praise the party leader for what they do for a common people. So that was the main reason for May 1st, Workers' Solidarity Day. Again, the main goal was to start the world revolution eventually. So millions and millions of people like me immigrated to this country just to live back total lack of freedom, total lack of normal human life, and hundreds of daily troubles. And we left this holiday without any regret. I believe that there are wonderful 2 holidays in this country already established. In September, the Labor Day for the workers, and May the 1st tomorrow, this holiday that hopefully we will start celebrating in St. Louis, the Loyalty Day to this country. And it's a wonderful American heritage. It has a very strong, long history in this country. And I don't understand why some people want to ground their holidays in communist and socialist ideology rather than American freedom and American values. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony.
That's all I have for the speakers. Thank you very much.
All right. Alderwoman Howard, do you want to wrap it up, or you want to?
No, I just would like to wrap it up and move forward with this resolution number 6.
All right.
Adapt it.
All right. I want to thank all of the speakers who came to speak on this resolution and to tell us their stories. It is really means a lot to me and other members of the board. And I'm trying to get to my first section here. And for members of the board who have not participated online like this before, there is at the very bottom of your screen, you have a raise hand. If you would like to speak on this resolution, I'm opening it up to anyone from the board before we move forward to the next resolution. Any speakers? All right.
President Reed?
Yes.
This is Alderman Stevens. I would note that I actually do not have a raised hand function.
Okay.
I'm working off of my Chromebook and not my government laptop.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about
I don't
that.
know. I don't know where it would be on the Chromebook, but if you open up the participants panel, you may be able to do it from there. But if not, but go ahead, Alderman from the 12th.
Yes, and then point of question, I suppose. Am I able to request that the Alderwoman from the 14th yield for questions, or is this just a discussion period?
This is you can do that. It's unusual to do it on a courtesy resolution, but you have a right to do that if you have a question from her.
Would the Alderwoman from the 14th be remiss, or rather be
opposed? Just yield for questions. The Alderman from the 14th will yield for question to the Alderman from the 12th.
Sure.
Alderman from the 12th, please proceed.
Thank you. And I like the little note about the Chromebook implementation being very limited. I do agree. So thank you, STLT. Alderwoman from the 14th. I want to thank you first and foremost for raising this resolution and raising a sense of patriotism. As someone who has before pursuing public office gone for the Foreign Service as a diplomat for our State Department, sort of thrown themselves into that process. I do appreciate it. However, I do hold some reservations getting the historical background of Loyalty Day. And I wanted to ask whether or not you were aware of the original sort of function of a Loyalty Day, or its sort of origination.
Yes, I mean, I grew up in the 50s, so yes, I am very aware of that.
Oh my goodness, Alderwoman, you betray your age. You're not a day over 37.
Right.
I mean, it's just that good South City air and neighborhood is what keeps
it
us
is, and good genes.
And well, I can't speak to that, but so I do take some issue with that, and understanding, of course, that that is back in the Eisenhower administration. We're now in the Biden administration. Some time has passed. Are you planning to support legislation or present legislation that would otherwise support our veterans outside of this resolution, perhaps Veterans Affairs, or seeking opportunities to better support veteran care and aid?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Furthermore, are you willing to, I'm very appreciative of having an LGBT voice regarding this resolution. So my personal thanks to Dr. I do apologize, Dr. Torres, yes, for providing that. Every day, as we all know, thousands of Americans are born, haven't come home yet. Are you planning to support legislation that would otherwise support the LGBT community, be they veterans or not, here in St. Louis?
I sure would, and I have.
Excellent. Well, I can only speak to this legislative session. Furthermore, last question, I promise. Do you plan to present or support legislation that supports our immigrants? Of course, having many in South City and having such a diverse background. Sorry, I didn't cut you off there, did I?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. No, you didn't cut me off. I didn't know. I didn't know if you were finished.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry, the video lagged a bit. So that was a yes to supporting or presenting veteran legislation. That was a yes to supporting or presenting LGBT community supportive legislation, and a yes to supporting or presenting immigrant-related legislation in this legislative session.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Thank you, Alderwoman.
Okay, thank you for your questions.
Alderwoman from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't want to spend too much time on this and belabor what I think is a huge waste of our time here at the board. This is the second time we've had something like this introduced by the Alderwoman from the 14th. Loyalty Day is problematic for a large number of people within our community. It was designed to supplant Workers' Day. And so I'm happy that the Alderwoman from the 15th Ward is moving forward and making sure that we are recognizing that as the important day that it is. My other concern, and then I'll let everyone else speak, is that one of the events that people are being invited to for Loyalty Day here in the city of St. Louis is being hosted at the business of somebody who showed up to Washington, D.C., and we know at least made it to the Capitol steps on January 6th during the insurrection. And so I think that alone should make us all very wary of what Loyalty Day is actually meaning to some of the people who are moving it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. One of the things that first of all, I'm going to thank Alderwoman Howard, because where we are in our country is not recognizing that some people experience different things from others, and their lives are disrupted or not allowed to thrive as much as possible. After hearing the story of the doctor, and I look at the things that have occurred here in the United States in the past 50 years towards other human beings and who they are and what they try to achieve, the simple things even. And to hear him say how much he is appreciative of being in a country that allows you to be yourself. Before we go too far in our process to not recognize others, as we have done in the past, of insulting people in their history, we should think twice and give credence to what has occurred to others and how we can move forward together. There's not much else you can do but to respect people, give them the opportunity to love, give them the opportunity to exist with a decent quality of life. But this body is not the place to disrespect. I think when you look into the archives of resolutions and legislation that has been passed in order to give people their rights over the years, and most especially the last 5 years, I think this board has been in a place, in the right place to do that. And as some will have the opportunity to research and learn about all that is already in place, you will feel better about who we are and what we represent thus far. But I won't be negative. I won't have any harsh feelings about how something was started over 50 years ago, because that's where they were then. And we have truly evolved since then. And if there is an individual that we don't like or we believe has done something that is absolutely positively egregious to our country, then we call them out and we don't participate. But please respect those who have had a terrible existence in other times and other places, and welcome them and thank them for choosing the United States of America. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman from the 19th.
Yeah, Alderwoman from the 1st.
Mr. President, members of the board, usually as I see consent resolutions, they are consent, we pass it and move it along. So I was trying not to say this, but I would object to this being on the consent calendar and ask that it be moved to the regular resolution if we're going to have long-term comments on it, because that's usually not what we do. And so I'm objecting before we vote that it remain on the consent calendar.
President Reed, you're currently muted, sir.
You have the right to move it to the regular resolutions calendar at your request. So you're asking that resolution number 6 be placed on the regular resolutions calendar?
I am. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Point of order.
I object.
Alderman from the 22nd, please state your point of order.
Mr. President, just for clarity, I thought we had taken a vote already on the calendar, so we just put it before us.
Well, we took a vote on the courtesy. We didn't take a vote. We did a motion and second on the courtesy resolutions calendar.
Okay.
So, you know, the final vote would be amending that original motion and second, removing item 6.
Okay. Thank you.
Removing item 6 from it.
Thanks for the clarity.
All right. But anyone at any given, just so that everyone knows, anyone at any given time could request that something be moved from a courtesy calendar to a regular calendar. And it's a simple request from any member of the board because things on the courtesy calendars are generally held for things that that do not require a lot of debate. Although some courtesy resolutions, which is a little bit different, some courtesy resolutions have had some debate in the past, but it is up to any alderman to request that something be moved to a regular calendar. So, Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Place resolution number, Alderman from the 14th.
So are we going to vote on whether it needs to be moved?
No, it's a move from a courtesy calendar to a regular calendar is a simple request from any member of the board. So any member of the board at any given time could ask that something be moved from a regular calendar to a courtesy calendar to a regular calendar. So the Alderman from the 1st has requested that this courtesy resolution be moved to the regular resolutions calendar.
I would just like to reiterate what the Alderwoman from the 19th said. It's a sad day that we disrespect people and don't have any respect for their experiences and just can't agree on this and move it along.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman from the first, do you still stick with your original request that this courtesy resolution be moved to the regular resolutions calendar?
I do, where we can talk about it, and still there's nobody disrespecting it. I was trying to be quiet, but we're getting into a long debate. And at that point, it belongs on the first reading of resolutions, not the consent calendar.
All right.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Place resolution. Well, before we do that, we have Alderwoman from the 14th. Do you have any additional speakers? Because once we move to the regular resolutions calendar, from this courtesy resolutions calendar, there isn't any room for speakers on that. So do you have additional speakers that you'd like to recognize?
Not at this time.
I saw that Kim McGrath, I don't know if you know that she's online. She was one of the originators of this. I don't know if you saw her, but she's online and looked like she was prepared.
I guess, would she like to raise her? Kim, would you like to speak?
Point of order.
Yeah, Alderwoman, please state your point of order.
Once I've made a motion to move it to the calendar, it moves, and then all debate and everything stops. So she cannot now speak to it because I've done that. I tried to let this go on. So point of order, it is the end. It has to be moved. It is a non-debatable request. And so there should not be any more conversation.
Well, Alderwoman, as you stated, it's a request to move it from one agenda.
No, it actually is more than a request if you will look at our rules. Once anybody asks, and so my point of order is that there should not be any more conversation. Now, they can suspend the rules and ask that we have conversation in the first reading. You don't have to be prevented from speaking on a resolution in the first. You just ask to suspend the rules.
No, Alderwoman, once it moves to the regular resolutions calendar,
I understand
that there is no room for public to speak in the regular resolution.
I agree, and there's no room for public to speak once I've asked it to be removed, because you remove it, and that's the end of debate.
I got that. I got that. But at the same time, if we have speakers who have taken out their time under this courtesy calendar, who had no idea that it would be moved, the minute that it would take for them to, be recognized as something that I think would be detrimental to this board. But once we move to the regular resolutions calendar, the debate would be just amongst the members of the Board of Aldermen.
Mr. President, so what I'm saying, excuse me, I haven't used.
No, I understand exactly.
Okay, Mr. President, but what you're saying is that they had no idea. That's the responsibility of the person who sponsors this resolution to bring them up on the rules. At any point, I could have said this immediately soon as she did it, and I tried not to. But then to continue to go on once I've asked it to be put on the regular rules is a violation of our rules, okay?
Alderwoman from the first, as I said, the resolution is now moved to the regular resolutions calendar, and we will go to the regular resolutions calendar after we complete this, the courtesy resolutions. But we do have, look, I don't even know if Kim is still here. I don't even see her anymore.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Kim, if you just want to say hi to everyone just real quickly before we move on.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, thank you, President Reed. Thank you for Alderwoman Howard for the resolution to the full board. Yeah, I was, participating in the call today with interest. I live in the 8th Ward of the city of St. Louis, serve in different capacities in the neighborhood. I've served as Democratic committee woman, and most recently as director of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, which is a nonprofit human rights organization enacted into law unanimously by Congress and signed into law by Bill Clinton in 1993. We have the first ever commission here in the city of St. Louis. So myself and many of the volunteers
point of order
are on the call have spoken.
So
I understand that. Oh, go ahead.
No,
point of order.
all the women, I just, Kim, I just wanted you to real quickly say hi so that we didn't want to, we tried to, under this courtesy resolution calendar, to give the public who are being recognized with resolutions and stuff an opportunity just to say hi to the board or whatever. So thank you for your time and thank you for doing the work that you're doing. All right. All right. Resolution number 8. Alderwoman Boyd.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
I was trying to contact the people that were here, and this will be short and to the point. We lost a pioneer within our community, Mr. Halbert Sullivan, on last week, and we presented him with a resolution from the Board of Aldermen at his services. And I wanted to take the time to recognize the staff of, they say something else, Family Father Support Organization. And we have Mr. Charles Barnes here that is, that worked with Mr. I'm sorry, let me slow down. That worked with Mr. Sullivan and myself, and we have worked for quite a bit of years together in regard. And so I just wanted to take the time to recognize the staff that plays a big role in our community in supporting the fathers, because Halbert saw something that I think a lot of people have forgotten, that the fathers play a critical role in our families, and they did not have direction to improve their lifestyles to help the people in their families. So at this time, I would like the board to accept the resolution from Mr. Halbert Sullivan. Thank Mr. Charles Barnes, Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard. She has 2 guests that she has invited also to be recognized to accept the resolution for Mr. Halbert Sullivan.
Okay, do Alderwoman Boyd or Alderwoman Hubbard, Alderwoman Hubbard, would you like to speak first, and then you all call your guest up to speak?
Oh, sure. I just want to thank you all again for your support on this resolution. For Father Family Support Center, we know the work that they've been doing on the ground, and we know that it will continue to be done because of the legacy that Mr. Sullivan laid and the foundation that he supported for this community. It's been amazing. It's been unmatched. And we wanted to make sure that we acknowledged and showed our support, continued support for Father's Family Support Center. And that's why we invited them on the call today. So first we'll have speaking Mrs. Sherry Tillis.
Good morning, and thank you so much for inviting us today. I just would like to say that it's a pleasure to know that the work of Mr. Halbert Sullivan is being honored by this board, of whom he respects so greatly. I would also like it known that the organization has served over 17,000 fathers, which has impacted over 45,000 children within the St. Louis community. In just the last year, 279 participants that came through our family formation program obtained employment, which resulted in $7 million being returned to the local economy. The organization has been established, of course, to improve the outcomes of children, but as you all know, it's improved the outcome of those fathers and mothers who have also been able to participate in our programming. So on behalf of the staff, 52 strong, we would like to just thank you all for this resolution today and let you all know that we are committed to honoring the legacy of Mr. Halbert Sullivan by continuing in his mission that he left to us as a gift to improve the lives of children in the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, would you like to say something?
Well, yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Boyd, and thank you, President Reed, for this opportunity. As I concur with what Ms. Tillis has stated, Mr. Sullivan, back in 1997 in the incorporation of the Father Support Center, and now the Fathers and Family Support Center, had tremendous mission, and that was to change the life of a child. And he wanted to empower the parents in order to do that. And with his legacy, he did exactly what he set out to do. We have changed the life of children, we've strengthened the families, and now we're impacting communities. He has taken this thing from a small idea to a worldwide entity. We're not just locally known, we're nationally known as well. Mr. Sullivan was one of the leaders in fatherhood across the country, where many came to get his expertise on the responsible fatherhood tools to make families what they are supposed to be. So we are greatly honored by you guys taking this time and recognizing the work that he has done. As Ms. Tillis stated, we will continue this work, working with not only in the community, but expanding his knowledge across the country as we have done in the past. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. And we have some members of the board, Alderman from the 1st.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'd ask that my name be added to the resolution.
Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Alderman from the 14th.
Yes, first off, I would like my name added also, and I really would like to express my sympathy for your loss. And the things that Mr. Halbert has established in our city have been, top of the line. And I think that, when we look at what's going on in our city with crime and some of the things that are happening, I think that we need to think about expanding these kinds of services to the youth of our city, and maybe adding to this, because I think, having a good home precludes a lot of the misbehavior we're seeing in our city. So I admire the work you do, and I hope it continues and expands in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alderman from the 13th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd also really like my name to be added to this resolution. I'm so lost. And again, thank you so much for all you all are doing for the community.
All right, Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Alderwoman from the 26th, I see your hand raised. Was that from before? Alderwoman from the 26th. I think that was probably.
I'm sorry. It wasn't from before. I just wanted, but I was going to ask, I did want to let my colleagues speak first, because I was going to say a few things in closing. And while I have the mic though, I would like to ask then, if it, with permission, if we can pass this resolution and
moved by the Alderman from the 26th and seconded by the Alderman from the 4th, and a whole host of other people. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Prepare another copy of this resolution in bank. Any further discussion?
I was going to say, I did want to, before we close, I would be remiss without mentioning Brother Reginald Slaughter, who is, I know a lot of us have community events that Fathers and Family Support Center come out, bring the resources and talk to our communities. And Brother Reginald Slaughter is always the man that's at the table, sitting there talking and engaging with the community. So I, again, did not want to share some love with him as well as the rest of the 52. Now, I didn't know the 52 members of the staff. I would encourage you as my colleagues to go visit their new campus on Olive. They're doing some amazing work, and thank you all for the support this morning. And thank you, Alderwoman Boyd, for bringing this resolution forward.
Yeah, I want to also just add my thanks and appreciation for the work that Halbert has done over the years. My wife worked for him. She just spoke so highly of him all the time. And he was one of one, right? His personality, his way to break through the status quo and get people's attention about this issue and get them to visualize the challenges in a much different way, and get them to understand that just because some of these men have made mistakes in the past doesn't mean that that's all that they are or all that they will be, and inspire them to go on to do great things. I mean, he was just amazing, and St. Louis was made better because of his involvement. I think his work and his teachings will live on far beyond our years, because he left that kind of mark on the city of St. Louis. So I thank him for all that he has done, in his time here in St. Louis. And to his family, I'm just so gracious that that he gave so freely of his time and commitment to the city. It was shown in everything that he did. And that campus that he has now established over on Olive, that is just amazing. So folks who have not gotten an opportunity to see it, please go out there and see it. And to the people who are still involved in the File Support Network and Center, and to the staff, thank you for all that you do. This resolution is the highest honor the board has to give any organization or individual. And what it does, it cements in time some of that person's many accomplishments up until that point in time. And we add that to the permanent records of the city of St. Louis. So 100, 200 years from now, when people come back and research the records of the city of St. Louis, they will read amongst those records Mr. Halbert Sullivan, and know that he passed this way. And he committed so much so that on this day, we pause in our deliberations to assure that his records were permanently archived within the city's records, and that he was properly recognized. So thanks to all who brought this resolution forward. Thanks to all who have worked alongside Mr. Sullivan for all those years. And thanks for the work that you're going to do in the future. With that, I'll recognize any of the sponsors, all the one from 27th or 26th, if you have any closing comments before we move on.
I also want to thank Father Support, and I keep hearing people saying the work that they did, but truthfully, I think I worked for Father Support, because all the times that Halbert and Charles and I met, and we were getting guys out there, getting them to do the work that needed to be done and educate them. And so in my real life, on my job, we even had a program there that they were bringing guys to my job, and we were working with them, teaching them how to adapt to society and do the work, because we could get them the jobs. We're just teaching them how to keep the jobs. And so I thank Charles and Halbert, because they helped me a lot. They invited me to speak to classes, to empower and encourage those young men, to let them know that they were important to us and they played an instrumental role in our community. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt our courtesy resolutions calendar. That resolutions calendar has been amended to include resolutions number 8, 10, 11, and 13. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No.
Opposed?
Mr. President,
Yep.
I would like to move resolution.
Hold on for a second, Alderman from the 14th. We just finished the courtesy resolutions calendar, and due to the adjustment in the calendars, we'll take up the first reading of resolutions. First reading of resolutions, Madam Clerk.
Resolution, are we going with 6, or we gonna go in order and put 6 at the end?
Should we
All
start
right,
with 5?
it'll be 5, 6,
got it.
7, 9, 10.
Resolution 5, sponsored by Alderman Coulter, Soulard Special Business District 2021 budget.
Alderman from the 7th, you recognize on the first reading of resolution number 5.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Request unanimous consent on resolution 5.
Hearing no objection, please proceed, Alderman.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This resolution is required by the adopting ordinance for the Soulard Special Business District, which is a local taxing district that helps with safety initiatives in the Soulard neighborhood. They've submitted their annual budget. I've reviewed it and discussed it with board members and approve of it, and would move to adopt resolution 5.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 7th. Entertain a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Alderman from the 23rd. Any discussion? Alderman from the 14th, you have your hand up. Is there any discussion on resolution number 5?
No,
Okay.
did have a question before we moved on and you didn't recognize me.
Oh, about what, the courtesy resolutions calendar?
Yes.
Okay, let me take this vote and I'll come to you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Alderman from the 14th, sorry, I missed you on the courtesy resolutions calendar. You're muted.
I
There you go.
requested that resolution 13 be moved to the regular resolution calendar also.
Oh man, I missed it.
And
Thank you.
Point of order.
Please state your point of order.
Didn't we already approve the courtesy resolution calendar? We can't go back and undo that at this
Yeah,
point in
but
time.
the only way we can go back and redo that is if we move to reconsider the previous vote and then go back, and then we can move it from that courtesy resolutions calendar, all the ones from the 14th.
I moved to reconsider the vote.
To reconsider, you have to vote it on the prevailing side. I think yours was a no vote. I know. So anyone that voted on.
I'll move to reconsider.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 23rd that we reconsider the vote on the courtesy resolutions calendar. Entertain a second on that.
I'll second.
So 23rd. Seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd. Any discussion? Alderman from the 1st.
I'd request a roll call, please.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we reconsider the vote on the courtesy resolutions calendar. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus,
No.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Evans, Alderman Page,
Aye.
Alderwoman Negracia,
No.
Alderman Coulter,
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice,
No.
Alderman Gunther,
No.
Alderman Vollmer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin,
No.
Alderman Stevens,
No.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
No.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Green,
No.
Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Peel,
No.
Alderman Todd,
No.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad.
Aye.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderman Narayan.
No.
Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed. President Reed.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderwoman Navarro. 13 aye votes and 11 no votes.
I vote you sustain the motion of the alderman from the 23rd. So
Point of order.
Alderwoman, please state your point of order.
I was trying to do this back when you thought I was still continuing about the courtesy resolution. It is my understanding that in order to vote on a Zoom meeting, your actual face, not your picture, has to be shown. So in that case, the people such as Alderman Collins Muhammad cannot vote, and I think we should give him a chance to come on board so he can vote, but he cannot vote with a picture. He has to vote with his face. We have to be physically present on a Zoom meeting.
All right, Alderwoman, the vote has been called on that issue. So that vote has been called.
He still cannot, he cannot vote. And I've been trying to tell you this before, we cannot vote if there is not a person. That's like voting off of the floor.
Alderwoman,
the vote can be called all. It's not final. He cannot vote off of the committee. He has to be on. Fine, you can do it. It's still incorrect.
That vote is final. People have, well, anyway.
When would you bring, Mr. President, when would you then bring it up? If you don't bring it up, I can't bring it up in the middle of the vote. He can come and leave.
Yeah, you
so
can
this
bring,
is the appropriate.
The
appropriate time to bring it up is, my hand was up immediately afterwards. The appropriate time to bring it up is when this has been done. Now he's here. I think he should be given a chance. I didn't say he shouldn't be voted. I just said his face was not, and he was not present. That was what I said. Here he is. Now let him vote.
He's already voted.
No, he did not. He was not present. You cannot vote off of the floor.
He was present. He already voted.
He did not. He was not. His picture. When you look at this, you're going to see that his picture was up there. And I am only trying to make sure that we follow our rules.
You know, we're dealing with a courtesy resolution, right?
I understand that. And I'm not even trying to stop it.
All the one from 14th.
Mr. President, are we going to?
All the one from the 14th, you recognize.
I have nothing.
No, what? Wait a minute. You had to come back to this calendar. Did you want to move?
Yes, I would like to move resolution 13 to the regular calendar.
Please, Madam Clerk, please place courtesy resolution 13 on the regular resolutions calendar. Alderman from the 22nd, you had something. You're muted, Alderman from 22nd.
I don't want to belabor, but for the benefit of the new alder people, because I'm confused as to the rules as far as the Zoom and the voting. Did we vote on some rules to govern ourselves or was there a city councilor opinion? I mean, just to help.
Alderman, we'll get in all that. Do you have anything for the courtesy resolution calendar?
Well, what I do want to say for the courtesy resolution calendar, Mr. President, is that we need to really think about when we bring guests before us to speak, and then a resolution have to be sent over to the former resolution calendar. That is totally unfair to people who have brought guests to speak. So I want us to be mindful of that in the future. I just want to bring that up because that is not fair to people to time out their day to come and speak on what we all perceive to be a courtesy resolution that end up being a more formal resolution. So I just want to bring that awareness out. Thank you.
All right, so item number 13, Madam Clerk, please place item number 13 on the regular resolution calendar. It's been, now I'll entertain a motion to adopt the courtesy resolutions calendar as amended. All the one from the 19th.
Did I have my hand up?
No,
Well,
recognizing you
I'm sorry.
make the motion
I'm
on the
sorry.
courtesy
I will.
resolutions calendar.
I'll make that motion that we adopt the courtesy resolution calendar as amended.
Second.
Moved by the Alderman from the 23rd, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt our courtesy resolutions calendar as amended. So now we're looking at items number 8, 10, and 11. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. That takes us back to our regular resolutions, first reading resolution calendar, item number 6. Madam Clerk.
Resolution 6, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard, honoring National Loyalty Day.
Alderwoman from the 14th, you're recognized on the first reading of resolution number 6.
This resolution just honors the Loyalty Day and those organizations sponsoring activities.
All right, would you like
I'd like to move that we pass this resolution.
Well, would you like, if first reading the resolution is, would you like to request unanimous consent?
I'd like to request consent, unanimous consent.
Objection.
There was an objection to unanimous consent, so you can choose to suspend the rules or send it to committee. You can send it.
I'd like to suspend the rules and vote on it.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to suspend the rules?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
All right, it takes a 2/3 majority. It's been moved by the Alderman from the 14th that we suspend the rules for the purposes of sending resolution for voting out resolution number 6 today. I entertain a second on that motion.
I'll make that second.
Seconded by the Alderman from the 23rd. Any discussion? Alderman from the 6th, I mean from the 1st, excuse me.
Just want to make sure that we do a roll call.
Okay. Alderman from the 12th.
Thank you. And you were correct. In the participants list, I can raise my hand. Is Alderwoman from the 14th had a speaker, a certain Miss Amy McGrath. I would like to motion that she be given a moment to speak since she did take time out of her day if she is still present. And
yeah, we can't, we cannot do that now. That's why I was trying to allow her to do that earlier when we had it on the courtesy resolution. We cannot do it now.
Oh, I apologize. I have also reached out to Ms. McGrath personally to get a written testimony.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah, I do just want to reassert my commitment from 12th Ward that if a citizen takes time out of their day, regardless of how I feel about a bill, I want them to have a voice. So, Alderman from the 14th, I apologize.
All right, thank you, Alderman from the 12th. Alderman from the 18th.
First of all, this loyalty bill, I think it's, when we talk about socialism, I think the rich has always had socialism, whereas the working class had to fight from at one time you had to own property, men and women, black and white, and everybody else in order to even vote. I think this is also going through slavery for black people, and we had no rights as a human being. We were chattel. I think we were still loyal. I think I was born during the segregation period, born under segregation. The country wasn't loyal to us. We fought all the wars. We followed all the rules. But still we didn't have our citizenship, our rights to vote, our rights to go to school after we paid taxes, our rights to use certain facilities as we paid for most facilities. And our labor as slaves was social in that we created generational wealth for everybody except for ourselves. So, but that was socialism for the whites. That was socialism for everybody but the African people in this country. So therefore, when we talk about social, economics is social, because right now, stimulus package, that money goes to everybody. We are subsidizing businesses. We are subsidizing all kinds of people, rich people. Right now, we have socialism for the people who don't even grow food, people who grow tobacco, people who just we just subsidize people, the farmers who own the farms. We take taxpayers' money and we give it to the people, not to subsidize themselves who haven't worked a day in their lives, most of them. We also subsidize the military industrial complex, wasting our money. That's social. We subsidize the prison industrial complex in that we lock up most of the poor and the working people, and then they work some don't work for anything, and others are working, but at the same time, a certain group is in jail right now, for example, for crack cocaine versus powder cocaine, whereas and the time is longer. So so we are subsidizing the rural areas. That's social in that we are creating public works for rural people and have done it. And especially since the 70s, we have been doing it. And that is social in that our tax dollars right now in the city of St. Louis, in the state of Missouri, we send the state most of the money from the St. Louis region, and we don't get but 80%, less than 80% return on our tax dollars. That is social. Somebody's getting that money. All social means is that a group of people working together, and they talk about communism. I'm a Christian. I have communion. When I have communion on, so a lot of words we use to red bait, a lot of words that we use to take away democratic rights, like the Communist Party and other parties were raided in the 50s by the Palmer raids. That was undemocratic, and that the Constitution gives you the right to peacefully assemble. The Black Panthers Party, hundreds of Black Panthers were assassinated, where people had the right to peacefully assemble, and they were denied those rights. So when we talk about loyalty, it is the government itself that is, it's not the citizen. We shouldn't have even had a civil rights movement. There shouldn't have been a Black Panther Party. There shouldn't have been anything, because our constitutional rights were taken away. And when men were given the right, Black men were given the right to vote in 1865, there shouldn't have had to be another right. And when women were given the right to vote in about 1918 or 19, there shouldn't have been a right. You shouldn't have had a second right. So it's not about loyalty. It's about the government itself that has betrayed the law, betrayed the citizens, and gone over throughout the world, taking resources from poor, mostly people of color, and now still many of the people are not allowed to vote. And we talk about loyalty, we talk about democracy, but Black people have fought in every war since we've been over in this country. So I don't know of anyone who has been more loyal than the working people, all working people, and especially Black people who work for free for more than 250 years in this country and didn't get a dime. Then under segregation, we was the last hired and the first fired. And so I don't know, we should be having a African-American loyalty day, and this country should pay us our reparation that is due us so that we can have some generational wealth so that we can reinvest in our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderman. Alderman from the 24th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I saw on the calendar today that we were going to have some conflicting resolutions, and I was hoping it wasn't going to turn into a, kind of an hour affair on the courtesy resolutions calendar, but here we are. So I heard from some of my constituency, particularly folks in the labor movement, that had an issue with this particular resolution in front of us. And the issue wasn't anyone having loyalty to the United States or celebrating the United States, celebrating their loyalty to the United States. I think we all know if you did a Venn diagram of folks in labor and folks who have served the country, there'd be a pretty big spot in the middle there. But instead, their issue was with the history of this particular day and the attempt to paper over May Day and the Haymarket affair, which happened in Chicago, which literally led to the 8-hour workday. This came into kind of the common, it came into being this day at the height of the Red Scare 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago. I think that this particular resolution is probably about 50 years too late, given the fact that there's just so much pushback to this. I'm going to be a present vote. That being said, I think that we can all agree that Red Dawn is an awesome movie, and if the Soviets come over the top, that we need to do something about it. But I think that I don't know why we're still arguing about this. I would really like to move on. So I'll be present. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Any further? Alderwoman from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to speak on this particularly because I've had interaction with Dr. Torres. Personally, he and I have had great discussion. I'm grateful for folks coming to speak in front of the board whenever they are invited to do so. I sent a link around. I was not aware of the history of Loyalty Day. I was not aware that Loyalty Day was an event in the United States until this resolution was brought forward. And in my research, I grew more and more concerned. I was raised in Middle America. I was raised in rural America, and the things that I was taught through our education system are things that I've continued to question and continue to get upset about the ways that, frankly, white America was uplifted in my education. And being able to come back and critique my country for that, to be able to critique my country for the ways that we have erased people, the ways that we have been taught that happened that didn't actually happen. And so I get frustrated when we require loyalty to something, because that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. We aren't demanding that, we don't have mandatory marches in the United States. That's not something that we do. I highly doubt that is something that we would ever see come to pass here in the United States. But what we do have is, multi-ethnic, multiracial coalitions that are working for the working people. And a lot of that is because of the labor movement, is because of labor unions and the ways that they have organized. And there are some times that those have been incredibly problematic that have also been white supremacist. And so we have to say those things too. And labor unions now are working to correct some of those mistakes as well. But when we, currently in the Missouri legislature, we're seeing bills that prevent protest, that would indemnify drivers from driving through lines of protest of people who are in the streets, would further criminalize people from blocking the streets, things that happen all the time here in the city of St. Louis when people are speaking out for their rights. And we're also seeing a ban on frankly, racially correct education that is coming through. Folks trying to say that the only history that we're allowed to teach to our children is the white-centered history that we have always been taught. And I think that there's a move now throughout the country to be more accurate, to be more honest about who we are and how we've gotten here. And so I think, for me, especially in light of those things, in light of where we are as a country, this gives me great pause. And it is not because I don't welcome the foreigner, I don't welcome the immigrant. I am an immigration attorney. I have personally helped numerous citizens get their citizenship, and I'm thrilled by it. But that diversity of thought, that diversity of opinion, and an ability to criticize, right? Even new immigrants to the United States are welcome to criticize us. And this rings as problematic in a time when we are more and more polarized, when we are more and more separated into camps, and to declare loyalty to something through a day that, frankly, the Red Scare upended people's lives. So people who were not communists, people who were not a part of the Communist Party, were called out as communists. Their lives, their livelihoods, their homes were threatened. And so just to be honest about where this comes from, there are other ways that we can celebrate our unity, that we can celebrate our diversity, celebrate our culture. And this, frankly, just is not one of them. So I thank everyone for coming to speak today. I can't vote in support of this resolution.
And I want to remind everyone before we go further, the motion that's before us is a motion to suspend the rules for the purposes of taking this resolution up. I didn't stop the first couple speakers because they were well into the thing. I was hoping that they would end it with why they would vote to suspend or not to suspend. But after we take a vote to suspend the rules or not, if that is upheld, then we will go to the debate on the resolution itself. So with that as understanding, let's move forward with anyone who would like to make any comments on the suspension of the rules. And I have the Alderman from the 14th has her hand up.
That's all I was going to do, is just say we were talking about suspending the rules, not about the bill itself, or the
resolution. It feels like a bill.
Well, I'll tell you, I really, I just, I just.
Anyway, so any further discussion on suspension of the rules? All right. No further discussion on suspension of rules. It's been moved by the Alderman from the 14th, seconded by the Alderman from the 23rd, that we suspend the rules for the purposes of taking resolution number 6 up. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus.
No.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans. Alderman Page. Alderwoman Ingracia.
No.
Alderman Coder.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
No.
Alderman Gunther.
No.
Alderman Balmer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin.
No.
Alderman Stevens.
Present.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
No.
Alderwoman Howard.
Yes. Aye.
Alderwoman Green.
No.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Peel.
No.
Alderman Todd.
No.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad.
Aye.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderman Orion,
Present.
Alderman Cone,
Aye, or no, sorry, no.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Navarro, President Reed,
Aye.
May I
Alderman,
vote aye?
Alderman, Alderman Bosley,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderman Page,
No.
Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Navarro. 13 aye votes, 11 no votes, and 2 voted present.
By vote, you fail to sustain the motion of the Alderwoman from the 14th. Madam Clerk, please assign resolution number 6 to the Rules, Credentials, and Resolutions Committee.
So noted. Resolution 7, sponsored by Alderman Collins Muhammad. Resolution of intention to establish O'Fallon Penrose Special Business District.
Alderman from the 21st, you recognized on the first reading of resolution number 7.
Thank you, President. I request that resolution number 7 be sent to the Ways and Means Committee.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 7th that we send resolution number 7 to,
Second.
excuse me, Alderman from the 21st that we send resolution number 7 to Ways and Means. And seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd, I believe.
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Madam Clerk, please assign resolution number 7 to Ways and Means.
So noted. Resolution 9, sponsored by Alderman Boyd and Alderman Vaccaro. Crime Prevention Program Funds.
Alderman from the 22nd, you're recognized on the first reading resolution number 9.
Mr. President, I move to send resolution number 9 to the Public Safety Committee.
It's been moved by Alderman.
Second.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 22nd, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 27th, I believe. Any discussion? All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 12, sponsored by Alderman Coulter, recommending that the City of St. Louis Port Authority provide personal property tax abatement and sales tax exemption on construction materials for RB St. Louis Arch LLC.
Alderman from the 7th, you recognize on the first reading of resolution number 12.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd request to have resolution 12 sent to the HUD's committee.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 7th that we send resolution 12 to HUD. Entertain a second on that motion.
Second.
Second. Hold on for a second. Somebody's popping in. Is that Alderman Cone?
It is.
Okay. Alderman Cone, please proceed.
Mr. President, point of order. So this is my understanding, an item that deals with the Port Authority and incentives that are offered through the Port Authority now that the district is expanded. Typically, those matters go before Transportation and Commerce. You know, in my role as chair, I also am an ex officio member of the Port Authority itself. So why would this go to Ways and Means?
I think you would have to, you'd have to, if you want to inquire of the Alderman from the 7th, you're free to do that.
Sure. Okay. Will the Alderman from the 7th yield for questioning?
Alderman from the 7th will yield the question to Alderman from the 25th.
Yes.
Alderman from
Alderman,
25th.
why would this be referred to Ways and Means versus the Transportation and Commerce Committee?
I believe my motion was to refer to the HUD's committee, not Ways and Means.
Or, I'm sorry.
Because, sorry. Can you hear me? Hello?
I think his video is frozen, but please proceed, Alderman from the 7th.
Yeah, no, I requested to refer to HUD's because it's a, while yes, this was a Port Authority abatement, it's an abatement involving a downtown development. Traditionally, downtown redevelopment bills go to the HUD's committee. If this was a lease on the port, as I think I've introduced some bills regarding leases through the Port Authority, those go to Transportation and Commerce. This has little to do with transportation other than the fact that it went to the Port Authority. And we're being consistent with, I think, our expansion of the Port Authority, saying we bring these forward to the board as resolutions. Given the fact that it's a downtown redevelopment, I would request that it go to HUD's.
All right.
So is it?
Alderman from 25th, you still have the floor.
Yeah, so, I understand that matters pertaining to development, particularly items over $1 million, are generally referred over to the HUD's committee. However, if something is being passed by the Port Authority and is being enabled by legislation underneath the auspices of the Port Authority, while it might not be a matter directly related to transit or operations or lease of the port, it does directly derive from the enabling functions of the Port Authority and therefore should be heard in the Transportation and Commerce Committee.
Is that a question to the Alderman from the 7th, Alderman from 25th?
No, that's a statement on
Okay.
my part as chair of the committee.
Okay.
And I would ask for the Alderman from the 7th to reconsider his motion.
Would you like to inquire? Alderman from the 7th, I think that was the last inquiry from the Alderman from the 25th. Would you like to respond to that?
I'm not sure there was a question in there, but I won't reconsider. I would stand on my motion and request that it be sent to HUD's.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 12th.
Would the Alderman from the 7th yield for just one question, I promise?
Oh, yeah. Alderman from the 7th, we yield the question to Alderman from the 12th.
Yes.
All right, Alderman from the 12th, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President and the board, and thank you, Alderman from the 7th. Alderman from the 7th, regardless of where it ends up in committee, would you and the subsequent committee chair be willing to do a financial analysis of the impact to our public schools of any tax abatements or TIFs from this project? That's my only concern.
Yes, the reason I'm asking it be sent to committee, I mean, there was a financial analysis. I'm asking for a vote on this today. I haven't requested unanimous consent. I'm treating this like you treat any other, abatement done via resolution, as we often do with enhanced enterprise zones and other functions, and sending it to committee where there'll be a full presentation by SLDC staff. The developer will speak and we'll have a healthy discussion and probably some public comment.
Excellent. I appreciate Alderman from the 7th. I do invoke my my newbie status in this regard, so I apologize for the redundancy. I would like to be included on that or have any analysis, financial analysis sent to me if it is all the same to you and the chair of HUD's. With that, I yield back. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? It's been moved by the Alderman from the 7th, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd, that we send resolution number 12 to HUD's. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please sign resolution number 12 to HUD's.
So noted. Resolution 13, sponsored by Alderwoman Green and the following alderpersons: Rice, Narayan, Gunther, Peel, Schweitzer, Ingracia, Boyd, Middlebrook, Navarro, Stevens, Davis, Cone, Oldenburg, Evans, Jeffrey Boyd, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, and Alderman Todd. Recognizing May 1st as International Workers' Day and honoring the long history and contributions of the labor movement to St. Louis and the United States.
Alderwoman 15th, you recognize on first reading Resolution 13.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Could the clerk please read the resolution?
Madam Clerk, will you please read Resolution number 13?
Resolution 13, whereas May Day, also known as International Workers' Day, has its roots in the United States and is now recognized in dozens of countries around the world as a day to honor and fight for the rights of workers. And whereas May 1st is also recognized as the feast day of Saint Joseph, the worker and the patron saint of workers in the tradition of the Catholic Church. This feast day was first established in 1955 by Pope Pius XII to draw attention to the dignity of labor. And whereas the significance of May Day to the labor movement began with the movement for an 8-hour workday in Haymarket Square in Chicago, Illinois in 1886. The events of May 1st would later be known as the Haymarket Affair, an event which used brutal police repression against labor activists and in the end resulted in the state execution of 8 labor activists. And whereas St. Louis has played a crucial part in the growth and development of the U.S. labor market stretching back to 1877, St. Louis General Strike, which was built around multiracial solidarity. It is the birthplace of IBEW, which was founded here in 1891 and the site of dramatic labor struggles, including the 1937 sit-down strike at Emerson Electric. Today, organized labor in our city is working hard to restore the multiracial unity evidenced during the 1877 strike while building a labor movement that can meet the challenges of the 21st century. And whereas the right of the working people to come together to organize and collectively bargain with their employers is a fundamental right recognized as such by U.S. international law. Specifically in 2018, Missouri voters overwhelmingly struck down so-called right-to-work laws that infringe upon the rights of Missourians to collectively bargain. And whereas the United States House of Representatives has passed 47 U.S. senators have co-sponsored the Protect the Right to Organize Act, the greatest expansion of workers' rights protection since the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. And whereas in the midst of the global pandemic, essential workers have put their life on the line to serve, feed, and care for citizens of St. Louis, and we owe them our gratitude for their critical work. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis that we pause in our deliberation to recognize May 1st, 2021 as International Workers' Day in the City of St. Louis, celebrate the achievements of the labor movement, support the rights of workers to organize, and direct the clerk of this board to spread a copy of this resolution across the minutes of these proceedings and prepare a commemorative copy to the end that it may be presented at time and place deemed appropriate to the sponsor.
Alderwoman from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to request unanimous consent.
Second.
Object.
There's been an objection to unanimous consent, so you could choose to send it to committee.
I would like to request the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passage of resolution number 13.
Second.
Been moved by the Alderwoman from the 15th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 1st, that we suspend the rules for the purposes of taking up resolution number 13 today.
Mr. President, you have a hand raised. I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
I know, but we're still dealing with this. Alderman from the 18th, do you have any discussion related to the suspension of the rules on resolution number 13?
No, I do not.
I mean, Alderman from the 5th, do you have any?
Mr. President, I would be honored to have my name added as a co-sponsor of resolution number 13.
Okay, we can do that as soon as we get through this the suspension of the rules. But Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Anything further on the suspension of rules? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Aye. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Aye. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Page. Alderwoman Gracia. Alderman Coder.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Balmer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin.
Aye.
Alderman Stevens.
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard.
No.
Alderwoman Green.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Peel.
Yes.
Alderman Todd.
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
I'm sorry, what was that? An aye, Alderman?
Aye, yes.
Thank you. Alderman Narayan.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed.
Present.
I'm sorry, President, I didn't get you.
I'm unmuted. I said present.
Okay. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Page.
Aye.
Bosley is an aye.
Alderwoman Gracia.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd.
Present.
Alderwoman Navarro. 22 aye votes, 1 no vote, and 2 voted present.
All right, by your vote, you sustain the motion of Alderman from the 15th. Alderman from the 15th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I won't belabor this today. I think it's a pretty simple resolution to honor a holiday that most countries around this world recognize, and that the United States recognized as well up until the 1950s. And we are a country that has a robust labor history. In fact, our own city has a very robust labor history, dating back to the General Strike of 1877, a strike that predated the Haymarket Affair, which ushered in International Workers' Day. The General Strike in St. Louis was a strike, if you're not aware, that brought together a multiracial coalition of workers that brought this city to a standstill, demanding an 8-hour workday, demanding good working conditions for workers throughout our city. And it scared the establishment class, the wealthy folks in our city. And they thought to, how do we distract from this multiracial coalition of workers that was forming in our city? And so what did they do? They formed the Veiled Prophet and the Veiled Prophet Ball. And we see the vestiges of that today. it would be 10 years later that the Haymarket Affair would happen. And many would say that what happened in St. Louis and the guts and the courage of those workers in St. Louis is what would eventually inspire the Haymarket Affair and would inspire those workers that would then lead to this national and then international affair of workers who were rising up and saying, you know what, we are the ones that are producing goods throughout this world. And it is our labor that is producing these profits. And we deserve an 8-hour workday. We deserve working conditions that are not putting our lives on the line. And I think that history is often erased in our country. And it's important for us to be remembering that and not erasing the work of these workers, not erasing the history and the legacy of unionization in the labor movement that has brought us up to today. I think that we're seeing a lot of pushback, a lot of Red Scare tactics that are happening today in our country as a result of the gains that are happening in the labor movement right now. We're on the precipice of perhaps passing the PRO Act, which would be the greatest expansion of the labor movement that our country has seen in my lifetime. And that is really exciting because workers in our country deserve that. We've had workers out in our streets demanding, fight for, livable wages in terms of the fight for 15. We've had janitors that have gone on strike and as a result have won, fair contracts as a result of those strikes. And we are seeing a growth in the labor movement for the first time in our country that we have seen in a generation, and that is a really, really exciting place for us to be. And so I think it's important that we understand our history, we go back to our history, we recognize the roots of the labor movement, and we recognize a holiday that other countries, other folks around the world recognize that actually started in the United States, and pay attention to that because we have a lot of great organizing that is happening right now, and we have a lot of great work that is being done in the labor movement, and we have a lot of folks within our community that have put their lives on the line during this pandemic, and have not been given the quality working conditions and the hazard pay that they really deserve. And so there's still a lot of work to be done within our labor movement, and I think that our local labor leaders recognize that. They're working toward that. And we are at a place in our country where the labor movement is at that precipice. We have some great organizing that is happening. So I hope that we can pause today, recognize the accomplishments of the labor movement, recognize our history, and move forward in recognizing these workers, recognizing the history of the labor movement, and our support for further multiracial labor organizing that supports working class people within our city and within our country.
Alderwoman from the 11th. Alderwoman from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. You hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would like to add that my name be added to this, and I appreciate the Alderwoman for bringing this forward, and those labor organizing, the attempt to try to tie them in with some of the McCarthyism type tactics. And I think it's important to have this discussion, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Add the Alderwoman from the 11th name to it. Alderman from the 18th, then the Alderwoman from the 1st.
First of all, let me say I wholeheartedly support 100% all working people throughout the United States as well as throughout the world. And At the same time, I want to reemphasize that from slavery through segregation through the current time, African Black people and Africans throughout the world must always be included with working people, because most of us have been workers and most of us are workers. So we need to make sure that we all workers, because any working people of the working class that are left out will be used by those who are trying to take advantage of the other sector of the working class. So in order to have unity, we must honor all working people. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman from the first.
President, members of the board, I'd also request that my name be placed on this resolution.
Madam Clerk, please make note of that.
And also International Workers' Day is we need International Workers Year. I think we found out how important many of the workers that we took for granted. But this pandemic is many people that we didn't give the credit: the grocery store workers, the janitors, the custodians, the teachers, the people who now have to teach their own children and then said, oh my God, I don't know what to do. These are all very important people. Workers are in fact important. Unions are important. A lot of people don't know what labor has done. You know, they don't know about the many hours people used to have to work, the children used to have to work, so they take that for granted. Are unions perfect? No, they are not. No organization that you're in is perfect, but what you do is you work on making it a more perfect. That's why we talk about in a more perfect union for the United States. So we weren't talking about labor unions, but we continue to work and to add things and to make it a better place. When you see a problem with something, you work on that. There was much ado, and I didn't get to address it about the last resolution, previous resolution that we had about people coming to testify. If you don't want your people to not be able to testify and you want to put it on a consent calendar, make sure you get 20 votes before you do that. Otherwise, put it on the regular calendar. Don't try to blame it on somebody else. Somebody posted that I didn't want people to talk.
Point of order.
I do not want to stop people from talking. I want them to be able to talk.
Alderwoman from the 14th, please state your point of order.
This has nothing to do with the resolution that's under discussion.
Point of order well taken. Alderwoman from the first, keep your comments germane to the.
But it was going to that, so I'm still going to go back to that point because I was not finished. I still want people to talk.
Alderwoman from the 14th, you have an opportunity to do that in open public after the meeting, but as you know that subject matter isn't germane to this.
You don't know what I'm going at it. I'm still once.
But it is not. I'm going to say right now. You are discussing a previous matter that
when you finish with it, I'm going to finish my point because it goes directly to this. You just want to try to quiet me. You're not.
Alderwoman.
I hear you, Mr. President.
Alderwoman,
but I'm going to finish.
Alderwoman, look.
Look,
you know
that is not don't
Alderwoman, you know
I hear your point, and then I'm going to move on. So you can keep arguing all you want to.
No. But
yes, you are. Don't look me either.
Alderwoman,
I don't tell you that, Mr. President. I'm not look. I'm not your child. Don't talk to me like your child. I am not your child. Do not talk to me like your child.
Alderwoman, you know that was not.
I accepted and I'm moving on. And I'm still going to say what I'm going to say.
Please move on, but again,
you don't know. I'm finished with that, and I'm moving on.
Okay, move on then.
But then you don't tell me, look, I'm not your child.
I wasn't.
Your children.
My God,
I am a grown woman, and I'm older than you. Do not address me like that.
Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Please continue.
Please, Mr. President, please be respectful. I heard you, and I'm going
respectful.
on. That wasn't my point.
Continue.
I just mentioned that to get to my point.
Get to the point.
Thank you very much. And oftentimes with unions, people have tried to quiet people down, keep them from speaking up. That's why you have unions. That's why you have labor movements, because people will use bullying tactics to try to make sure that people who oppose them or who want their workers' right don't get a chance to have that. So that's why you needed unions. And there's a lot of tactics that are used to do that kind of thing. And you try to give other people extra rights while you take things away from other people. And that ought to be stopped on all levels. Wherever you work at, that should not be at the Board of Aldermen, that should not be at the grocery store, that should not be any place. Everybody ought to have an equal opportunity to excel in this country. Now, again, laborers are very important, and we have had that chance to uplift them in this last couple of years and acknowledge them. And I want to thank the sponsor of the resolution, because I know you and I both know when people try to suppress you, that just makes you rise more. And that's what has happened to workers all over the country for many years. And this is a very important resolution. And I appreciate you passing it and not bringing people down here to speak when you didn't know if you were going to have them speak or not. And I have nothing else to say.
Alderwoman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is a resolution and a conversation that's more than needed. I do give due respect to unions for all that we have accomplished. But in the back room of the union, we also are not providing equity for those who are willing and able to work. And I'm hoping that as we move forward and looking at the city of St. Louis, most especially, that we do more. I have had an opportunity to work with IBEW very closely. I respect them and what they stand for. As most of you all know, their museum where their first office was located is in the 19th Ward. They invested a lot of money in it and have also worked very hard with me to get people into the union. But it's not just that one union. We got to make sure that it happens in all of them, and most especially the city of St. Louis. As we are monitoring these developments, it would be wonderful if we started using the bill that we passed almost 3 years ago to make sure that we had equity for all levels, but it has not been implemented and it's way overdue. So let's look at everything and let's try to work towards equality for all, because this opportunity is more than ample at this time. The majority of the people who currently live in the United States of America are over the age 50. Many of them are retiring from these positions. And it's very important that we organize and make sure that we get the young folks in these jobs so that they can have careers and a good quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderwoman. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. Alderwoman from the 15th, you're recognized.
Just want to thank members of the board for your overwhelming support of this, and for everybody who has signed on as co-sponsors of this. I wholeheartedly agree with the Alderwoman from the 19th Ward. I think we have a tremendous opportunity in front of us to ensure equity in our unions, equity in organizing, and for all of our workers. I think that our labor unions recognize that. I think they recognize that they have not always been there, and are seeing that as the goal and what they need to be working on and doing moving forward. And so I'm very optimistic for our city. I'm very optimistic for our country in terms of what we can be doing to better support workers and working people. So thank you for your favorable consideration. And with that, I'll close.
Alderwoman, you need to now make the motion to have it adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I forgot that I didn't do that earlier. To make the motion to adopt Resolution 13.
It's been moved and seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
That's the extent of first reading resolutions.
All right. Now, guess what? Introduction of honored guests. Any introduction of honored guests? Any introduction of honored guests? Alderman from the 23rd. Let's get this meeting started.
Yes. As always, I'd like to have my good friend Greg Meyer as my special guest.
Welcome, Greg, to this session of the Board of Aldermen. Any further introduction of honored guests? Any further introduction of honored guests? Alderman from the 10th like to wrap us up?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Today, what day is April 30th still, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
It is on this day that Elvis Presley recorded Jailhouse Rock. More importantly, this is Arbor Day, so go out and hug a tree today and have some fun. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for that. Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes dated April 19th, 2021 and April 20th, 2021.
Alderman from 22nd, you recognize on approval of the minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move for approval of minutes dated April
19th and 20th.
Thank you, 19th and 20th.
Moved by
Second. 25th board.
okay,
Second.
been moved by the Alderman from 22nd, seconded by the Alderman from 25th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C of the agenda and has been placed in the aldermen's mailboxes.
We will dispense with line items 7 through 10. First reading of board bills.
Board Bill 3, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, an ordinance authorizing and directing the circuit attorney on behalf of the city of St. Louis to enter into a grant agreement with the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Justice Programs for funding to create the St. Louis Circuit Attorney Navigation Diversion Opportunity Program 2019 AR BXKO18 and authorizing the circuit attorney to expend related grant funds necessary to support this effort, including hiring staff and program development resources and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 4, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, an ordinance authorizing and directing the circuit attorney on behalf of the city of St. Louis to enter into a grant agreement with the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Justice Programs to fund innovative prosecution solutions for combating violent crime grant program 2019 YXBX0021, and authorizing the circuit attorney to expend related grant funds necessary to support this effort, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 5, sponsored by Alderman Collins Muhammad, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 71257 to establish O'Fallon Penrose Special Business District pursuant to sections 71.790 through 71.808 of the revised statutes of Missouri, containing the severability, effectiveness, and emergency clauses. Board Bill 6, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard, an ordinance amending Section 1, Paragraph 17.62.160 of Ordinance 62101 to permit city employees other than those designated permittees that are permitted to park free of charge within the area known as Washington Park to park free of charge within a parking garage located at 1515 Clark Avenue as provided herein. Board Bill 7, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance approving a redevelopment plan dated January the 26th, 2021 for the 1558 South Vandervanda Avenue area. Board Bill 8, sponsored by Alderman Vaccaro, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for the 3810 Watson Road redevelopment area. Board Bill 9, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Airport Commission, the Comptroller, and the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, making certain findings with respect to the transfer of $13,727,769 of excess monies that the city of St. Louis intends to transfer from the Debt Service Stabilization Fund to the Airport Revenue Fund during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. Board Bill 10, sponsored by Alderwoman Martin, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Streets to permanently close, barricade, or otherwise impede the flow of traffic on the block of Virginia Avenue by blocking said traffic flow at the intersection of the block of Virginia Avenue and Belle Reve Boulevard. Board Bill 11, sponsored by Alderman Coulter, and ordinance amending ordinance number 66935, which ordinance relates to an original lease agreement dated January the 1st, 2026, as extended in 2010 and 2015 between the City of St. Louis, Missouri and Material Sales Company, Inc., containing a severability clause. Board Bill 12, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard, an ordinance prohibiting the issuance of any package liquor license for any currently non-licensed premises within the boundaries of the 14th Ward Liquor Control District as established herein for a period of 3 years from the effective date hereof, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 13, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia, an ordinance authorizing the City of St. Louis Department of Health to accept a grant from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, known as Law Enforcement and Behavioral Health Partnership St. Louis CARES Act project grant, authorizing the expenditure of grant funds by entering into contracts or otherwise for the grant purposes and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 14, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia, an ordinance authorizing the Department of Health to accept COVID-19 response grant assistance upon the approval of estimate and apportionment through the Epidemiology and Laboratory Capacity CARES Award up to $71,150 from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, and to fulfill the obligations of said grants and contain an emergency clause. Board Bill 15, sponsored by Alderwoman Middlebrook, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a new lease agreement between the City of St. Louis, Missouri and Center Point Terminal Company for a period of 10 years with 3-5 mutual containing a severability clause. Board Bill 16, sponsored by Alderwoman Middlebrook, an ordinance amending ordinance number 68872, which ordinance relates to an original lease agreement dated April 1st, 2011, to be extended in the first mutual option between the City of St. Louis, Missouri and Kiesel Company, a Missouri corporation, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 17, sponsored by Alderwoman Middlebrook, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a new lease agreement between the City of St. Louis, Missouri and Terminal Road Association of St. Louis, a Missouri corporation, containing a severability clause. That is the extent of first reading of board bills.
Reference to committee.
To the HUD's Committee, Board Bill 2. To Public Safety, Board Bill 3, 4, and 12. To Ways and Means, Board Bill 5. To Public Employee, Board Bill 6. To Neighborhood Development, Board Bills 7 and 8. To Transportation and Commerce, Board Bills 9, 11, 15, 16, and 17. To the Streets Committee, Board Bill 10. And to Health and Human Services, Board Bill 13 and 14.
Dispense with line items 13 through 18. Then line item 21, miscellaneous unfinished business.
We have none.
Announcements.
Friday, May 7th, 2021, full board meeting, 10 a.m. via webinar.
Any further announcements? Alderwoman from the first.
Mr. President, members of the board, did we do special guests today? Did I somehow miss that?
Yeah, I did introduction of our guests. I did it right after. It was at the, just a few minutes ago. Did you have an honored guest?
Well, I did want to wish a former member of our board. Today is April 30th. Is Congressman William L. Clay Sr.'s birthday. He turns 90 years old today. He is a former member of the Board of Aldermen. I just wanted to ask all of you all, he represented the 26th Ward, all of us, if we could just wish him a happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, that's good.
Happy birthday. And Alderwoman Tyus, it wasn't your birthday recently.
I did not bring that up. Let's
happy birthday to all the woman from the first too. Let's
Thank you. Mr. President, Mr. President, could I have one more moment if you will? I wasn't at the last meeting because I've been sick for a week with adverse reaction, but I was at the sign and die, and I made a misstatement. And if you would give me a point of personal privilege, I want to apologize because I made a statement that wasn't true, and I do not like to put misinformation out about people. Mr. Anthony I can't even remember his I can't say his last name, but he was with Dismas House. I said he was the brother-in-law of Gary Best. That is not true. And I want to apologize. The other stuff that I talked about Dismas House is all true, but that particular point was not correct. And I do not ever want to put misinformation out about people because I've had it done too many times for me. And I am really sorry. And I am writing him a letter to apologize also.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Thank you. Alderwoman from the 26th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to just announce this weekend in the 26th ward, there's a cleanup. It's been rescheduled from last weekend by an organization called Black Men Build. This is a national organization, but this is our St. Louis chapter of Black Men Build. They will be having a community cleanup on Martin Luther King beginning at 1515 North Kings Highway, which is our beloved Wold Community Center. So if you're looking for something to do tomorrow morning, I think beginning at 8 a.m., Black Men Build is having a community cleanup up on Martin Luther King. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 21st.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to wish a happy birthday to the former Alderwoman from the 5th Ward. Yesterday was her birthday. Our executive director of the Affordable Housing Commission, April Ford Griffin. She celebrated her birthday yesterday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday to April Ford Griffin.
Happy birthday.
One from the 19th. One from the 19th.
Mute myself. There we go. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I wanted to acknowledge Gate District, part of Gate District, well, Gate District East, Gate District West, part of it, Tiffany and Botanical Heights. There will be a cleanup tomorrow, May 1st, from 9:30 till noon. In Terry Park, we'll have a social gathering from noon to 2. If anyone would like to stop by and meet our residents, feel free to do that. And then on the following Saturday, there will be another cleanup that will take place along that Lafayette Street barrier for the Highway 44. So I wanted to thank everyone who is being considerate with their time to keep their community nice and clean, and also making sure that we pay attention as well. So I just wanted to make sure if you're interested, come out tomorrow, either for the cleanup and or the social gathering. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 24th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just trying to give an assist to the Alderwoman from the 1st. I believe his last name was Arrington. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 18th. Alderman from the 18th, you're muted.
This coming Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., we're the 18th Ward and Keep Nature Clean is having a cleanup at 5011 Maple Avenue in the front of a derelict building. We will also be serving hot dogs and beverages. So if you want to come by and help clean up and eat some hot dogs with us and have a good time, it's a very nice day. We would appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 23rd. Alderman from the 23rd, you're muted.
I know I was on mute myself.
Okay.
If the committees are formed, I'd like to hold a public safety meeting Thursday at 10 a.m. to get 3, 4, and 12 out if they're together. So.
All right, thank you, Alderman. Alderman from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to recognize, because it'll happen before our next meeting, that next Thursday, May 6th, is Give STL Day. So this is a massive region-wide event to raise a lot of money for nonprofits. There are all sorts of incredible organizations that are participating in this day. I'm personally happy alongside the Alderman from the 9th to uplift Employment Connection this year. But I try to give a little bit to as many different organizations as I can find that day. And And if you're someone who was blessed during the pandemic and your stimulus is sitting in your bank account, may I just kindly suggest getting that money out to people and organizations that are doing good work with it. Thanks so much, and can't wait to uplift our region with you all together.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman from the 13th.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's really exciting for me to hear so many cleanups in our city this weekend. I have yet another one to bring to the attention of the board. This one's in Dutchtown. It's actually the 25th, but I'm going to be sharing it on behalf of Alderman Cone. St. Joseph Housing Initiative will be hosting a cleanup, an alley and block cleanup in the 4600 block of Alaska from 9 to noon. I hope people are able to join if you live around Dutchtown. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman from the 4th.
I yet have another cleanup this Saturday. So our city is getting spick and span cleaning. This is from the Kingsville Association tomorrow from 9:30 to 12 in the alleys of the 47 through 4800 block of Labadee.
All right, thank you.
Welcome any volunteers.
Okay, thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman from the 11th. Alderwoman from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, there you go.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to let everyone know that I have a May Day baby, and happy 5th birthday to Emma.
Oh, Emma, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Emma.
Happy
birthday.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's awesome. That made our day. I appreciate that. With that, Alderman from the 10th, you recognize on the motion to excuse.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I move to excuse the Alderman from the 16th, the 20th, and the 28th for necessary absence.
Been moved by the Alderman from the 10th. Entertain a second on that motion.
Second.
Seconded by the Alderman from the 14th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed. Motion carries. Alderman from the 10th, you recognize on the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, we move to adjourn till till May 7th, 2021.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. That'll be a really short session. It's been moved by the Alderman from the 10th. Entertain a second on that motion.
Second.
I didn't catch that.
Second from the 12th.
Oh, there you go. Alderman from the 12th. I need to get to know your voice better. I'll be able to pick it up right away. Alderman from I moved by Alderman from 10th, seconded by Alderman from the 12th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned.
Oh, no.
Too late. You all have a